I decided to spend the night with a homeless man. So I went to the dirtiest landfill in the city to find one. Will you be my boyfriend for the night? The homeless man's answer surprised me.
No, ma'am, thanks.
What about this? If you spend the night with me, you'll get $1,000. The beggar's eyes sparkled when he saw the money.
That's 5 times what I used to make at my last job.
Job? Don't be ridiculous. Would you really be here if you had a job? The man, Mike, got into alignment with me and I took him to a salon. The best professionals in town made him look quite handsome in a couple of hours.
I forgot that I used to look like this.
Like this? Are you still fantasizing?
Why are we doing this? Is it some kind of social experiment?
No experiments, just business. I was going to make millions off this bomb. I took Mike to my father's posh mansion and introduced him as my new boyfriend. Dad, I've changed. I now see and love people for their soul.
How can I be sure of that?
Well, Mike used to be homeless, but I still fell in love with him. My father decided that he wanted to know Mike better and started questioning him. Mike was not lost for words and quickly came up with a cool story in which he was married and even studied to be a doctor.
My young wife was diagnosed with cancer, so I had to quit my studies.
My father was interested in learning how Mike became homeless, but even then, my Mike was quite creative.
I sold the house and used all my money to save her. But it was no use. My wife died anyway. And I ended up on the street.
Mike's story touched my father so much that he cried. And I was glad that I had chosen this dreamer. I would even give him an extra $50 if I was feeling generous.
You found a worthy man. I'll ensure a brighter future for you.
My plan worked, and my father gave me what I dreamed of, to be included in his will. I immediately took Mike outside and handed him $1,000. The story about your wife's cancer was a brilliant idea. Poked the old man right in the feelings.
What do you mean?
I told him that my father also had cancer and that he didn't have much time left. That foolish old man decided to re-educate me before passing away and teach me how to see past a person's money. Imagine, he threatened to leave me with nothing. Seems like I outsmarted him. At that moment, Mike froze, and his eyes filled with tears. I decided to bring the poor fellow back to reality. Hey, are you going to take the money? That's a lot, you fool.
You gave me more than his. I remembered my dream again.
Even better for me. I'll keep the 1,000. I got Mike out of the house and went to celebrate my victory. I spent the next few years drinking and partying, so much that I eventually spent all of my father's money without noticing. Having lost everything, I ended up in the same landfill I met Mike at. One day, I saw him again. Sir, would you give me some change for bread? Mike? He was so rich that I didn't recognize him at first. But how is this possible? You are a beggar. As it turned out, Mike had changed his life after we met. He saved every penny he managed to get his hands on and went to college.
It took me 8 years to become a doctor. Where are your millions?
At that moment, I realized what my father wanted me to learn. But it was too late. I put my trust in the wrong people. I surrounded myself with fake friends who abandoned me as soon as I ran out of money. I started crying and tried to leave, but Mike stopped me and offered me a job at the hospital. Wait, what's the catch? Why are you helping me?
There's no catch. Real wealth is inside you. It won't burn out, depreciate, or even disappear.
A rich, fancy woman beckoned me into her luxurious limo.
It's $10,000. You'll get them if you come with me.
I was in no position to refuse. After all, I had pizza leftovers from the trash for breakfast. So I quickly got into her car and covered the seat with a piece of cardboard so nothing would get stained. The leather was clearly more expensive than my skin, but it seemed that neither my dirty clothes nor my smell bothered that lady.
Relax. I won't bite you. Champagne?
My homeless friends used to tell stories about the whims of the rich and how they made good money fulfilling them. However, some of them I never saw again. The mysterious lady took me to her suite, and I understood what she wanted from me.
Go get yourself cleaned up and be quick about it.
Everything finally fell into place when I saw my new acquaintance on the front page of the newspaper. Miriam had recently divorced her millionaire husband, and it looked like she decided to have fun with someone younger. I went out to meet her and admitted that if I wasn't in a difficult situation, I would have never agreed to get in the car. Plus, doing other things. The money you promised me will help me get back on my feet. So, I'll do it. I sharply dropped my bathrobe. But Miriam clearly didn't like it. She immediately turned away and ordered me to get dressed.
Ew! What the hell? Don't you think that if I wanted to mess around, wouldn't find someone better than a tramp?
Miriam said she had other plans for me, while pointing at a brand new tuxedo. She took me to a social reception. It seemed like all the richest people in the city were there and knew each other very well. When they saw Miriam with a new guy, they couldn't take their eyes off us and kept whispering. Then she decided to leave me by myself.
I'm going to say hello to someone, and you. Have fun.
Anxiety caused me to sweat so much that there was almost no water left in my body, which was why I went to Beveridge's table. However, those rich sharks immediately surrounded me and started asking me who I was and what I did for a living. I didn't know what to say, so I opted for the truth. To be honest, I live on the street and beg for money, mostly by the church. People are more generous there. The rich folks thought I had a good sense of humor. Soon after, Miriam went on stage and quickly wiped the smiles off their faces.
Can I have your attention? I'd like to make an announcement and present to you the new CEO of my construction company.
It became clear that all top managers were there, and their friendly demeanor instantly vanished.
Looks like the interview in Miriam's bed went well.
I miraculously slipped away from the angry guests and caught up with Miriam to make her change her mind. Ma'am, I know nothing about real estate. I don't even have my own house. Yet she didn't care and heartily enjoyed the uproar.
I'm sure you'll figure it out. It's your chance at a new life. Or do you want to go back to the street?
Of course I didn't. I had to sign the contract. The chauffeur drove me back to my suite, my new home. But there was no time to enjoy the luxury. I started studying the fundamentals of the company that I was going to run. As it turned out, it was all in vain. My new subordinates refused to listen to my development strategy.
Do you really think we will work for a homeless guy who didn't even finish college?
After my unexpected appointment as CEO, they sniffed out my past and learned that I was expelled on my first year. Still, they didn't know the whole truth. I was an orphan and received a college grant, but the rich students didn't accept me. Until I started helping them pass their exams. Everything was going great, at least before the director found out about my small business. I was kicked out of college and ended up on the street. My story didn't convince my colleagues, who quit and left to work for our competitors. It was time to admit that I had screwed up on my very first day. Miriam wasn't worried about it.
What's the problem? Just hire new people and don't bother me over such trifles.
I posted job ads and only one person came for an interview. In the end, the guy wandered into the wrong building. Nobody wanted to work for me, and the company's stocks fell. The only thing left for me was to return to the street and seek help from my homeless friends. I hired them, and when the press found out about my recruiting, they nicknamed us the Hobo Corporation, and our shares totally collapsed. Miriam walked into my office to fire me. At least, that's what I thought.
Great job, boy. I just got a call from my ex-husband, and he's furious.
He was the founder of the company, and Miriam sued him for it after the divorce.
My ex refused to have children until it was too late. Then, I found out that he had children with his mistresses.
That liar deprived Miriam of the joy of motherhood, so she decided to destroy his brainchild. However, he didn't take into account one thing. Tramps knew the promising neighborhoods of the city quite well. After all, that's where they could get more money, and there was always something to profit from in the trash bins. So I was successfully choosing abandoned buildings to be restored and sold profitably. Soon, the Hobo Corporation got ahead of the competition. Yet Miriam was not happy about our success.
You were supposed to destroy the company, not make it successful. Pack your things. You're all fired.
I couldn't let her kick out people who work 24/7 for a chance to change their lives. Your husband was upset when the company went down the drain, but he will be furious when it reaches the top, thanks to you.
Boy, you know nothing of revenge.
But I did. After all, The secret to my success was the desire to prove to my rich classmates that wealth and status meant nothing. Perseverance and hard work were the most important. Recently, I was invited to give a lecture at a college I was expelled from. Believe me, seeing the faces of the classmates who laughed at me and despised me, it's beyond words. Miriam agreed and did not regret her decision. The company grew up to be the largest in the country, and the president invited us to dinner. Miriam's ex-husband became a laughingstock. He lost his fortune and ended up on the street, exactly where she found me. Use resentment as fuel to rise above those who hurt you.